Jose, 14 years at this point under the Zuffa banner, still third in the world. I'm just curious, do you remember what your plan was when you came to Zuffa at 21 years old? Did you think you'd still be doing it this much longer?
My train of thought was always to be a champion. But back in the day, it was actually to have financial stability. And then later on became to be a champion and to maintain the fighting style at a championship level. Even my friends, they joke around. They look at pictures from back in the day and say, out of that picture, you're the only guy who's still fighting. So thankfully, I always talk to the dad about this. I've been able to accomplish that, to maintain a high level of championship caliber fighting.
Yeah, and that's not an easy lifestyle to do. So I wonder, I think you've got financial stability at this point. So has there ever been a part along the way where you're like, I don't need this anymore. I don't want to do this. I should walk away.
We're getting very close to the end of things, and I've always planned to fight at a high level, but to not only to become a champion, but also to kind of step away from the game at about age 35. And you can be certain. I was talking on the back there that me and my wife have been working very hard and living very in an intense manner to actually make that happen. So not only to be a champion, because getting close to that, but also the financial stability, all the parts. We are very close to that, to what I promised one day, to actually call it quits at age 35.
Well, still some big fights before that happens. Let's ask about Merab. You fought the best in the world. He's a great grappler, but when you look at the skills that he has, does he stack up with those guys that you fought in the past?
I'm always going to respect my opponents, and that's something that makes me work hard to prepare for them. He is a tough opponent, as is, and actually because of the moment that he's living, the current stage of his career, and the high level of fighting he's fighting right now, I do put him in that category of some of the toughest people that I've fought in my life.
Nice. You're nearing that title shot again. I'm just curious. This division is stacked. We just saw Chito Vera. We got O'Malley and Yan. You got big fights up and down. So I'm curious. Do you think this is a number one contender fight? Like, you win here, do you get the title shot next?
Yes, surely. I actually think that I should be fighting for the title. I wanted to fight Aldo, but obviously he's going for Dillashaw. So I believe that if I win this fight, I am actually the next one up to fight for the belt.
And last thing for me, you win on Saturday night, you fight for the title. Are you fighting Aldo or are you fighting Dillashaw? Who are you fighting?
If we're going for a pick, I would say Aldo for the moment that he's going through in his career. I think he's been fighting at a high level. And also, I think Dillashaw had that time that he was, wasn't fighting. So I think that goes against him. And I just think that for the moment that the way that Aldo is fighting, he's the one that's going to get it.
Jose, right here. Merab was in here earlier, and he said he was actually shocked when they offered you to him because, in his words, he didn't think he was big enough for the UFC to offer you. So when you hear that now your opponent, they don't think that they're famous enough to fight Jose Aldo. What do you think of?
First of all, it's a sense of pride for someone to have that admiration for me, and for me to actually have what I've built in my career to be recognized like that. But I'm always going to work hard, no matter what the opponent is. And actually, when Sean offered the fight, we talked to veterinarians, and it was, yeah, I'll take the fight. I'll take the fight. I think that it's a tough fight. No one wanted to fight him. I will take it, and I will be prepared. And again, very happy for his words, but I'm going to go after it because on that given night, each of us is just fighting for something. So we need to fight for what matters.
I'm curious what you thought of Marlon Vera's win last weekend over a former WEC champ like yourself and Dominic Cruz.
Something that I actually expected. That was kind of my pick. My pick was actually him winning in the 4th or 5th round for the style. I just for the way he's been fighting, even when I had to fight him, I had to change my style. So for the way he's been fighting, I just thought that it was going to happen, and he was going to actually knock him out in the 4th or the 5th round. So that was my pick.
And finally, were you surprised the UFC booked Petr Yan against Sean O'Malley, given Petr Yan was just coming off a title fight and Sean O'Malley isn't in the top 5 yet?
I don't see a problem at all. Actually, first of all, he's actually going through a very good phase, and also every fighter has the right to fight for a championship, and that's what you want to want. You want to be a champion. So, but obviously there was other call-outs in there, but they got him there. So why not fighting? And I think it's going to be a great fight.
Jose. So, a win this Saturday. You're already on the short list for a title shot. A win this Saturday. Would you hold out for the next fight for you has to be a title shot, or would you take another fight before that?
Exactly. I think I've earned it. I've been working for it, and I think that when I win against Merab, the next fight needs to be for a title.
Jose, you've been in the mixed martial arts world for a very long time, 18 years as a professional. How has the fight game changed since your first pro fight in 2004 to now?
When I started back then, I didn't know what to expect. What was going to be of the future of mixed martial arts? You go into this room and you actually see the difference. You see 25 heads over here, and covering this, and a guy like you've been betting on this since the beginning in what martial arts was going to be. For people, I think a lot of it, first of all, the acceptance of the sport as a sport by the general public. Also, people approaching me, no matter where you are in the world. I mean, people approach me in the street. It's not even fight week. It's not I'm about to fight. Like, people know me. As far as fighting style is concerned, and that's why I need to ask him a little follow-up. Before, I think that even the fighting style changed. Before, you had one style of martial arts, and you could dominate a division. But now you really need to be a complete fighter. And that's the biggest change that I've seen.
Someone who's fought all around the world and in all sorts of venues, how much can the crowd impact the fighters? How much can a place like Salt Lake City, which is hosting its first UFC pay-per-view, kind of provide the atmosphere that you're looking for? What are your expectations from a crowd that's never really been before a UFC event before?
A lot of positive energy. I've been following what this city's all about as far as a sports fan base because of the Utah Jazz, and I've seen how they are. And what I expect is just people to come out and be as rabid and avid as about sports as they are with the Jazz. And I think a lot of good things are going to happen. Just as a follow-up, because of the fact that the last one was long, he did mention the fact that we went through a pandemic, and even with the pandemic, the UFC grew. So just about the impact and how things have grown. So just wanted to make sure. Sometimes I got to read it.